Good morning. I'm so happy to have this opportunity to be able to share with you about an experience that was one of the most meaningful in my life. And I got to do it with my 94 and a half, and that half counts, year-old dad. On October 3rd through 5th of this year, we went on the honor flight of Southern Nevada. It was so amazing. Dad was one of the celebrated World War II vets, and I went as what they call a guardian, and it was my opportunity to be able to help all the vets that were there that needed help, because a lot of them were right around his age, even though he was the oldest vet. It was amazing. We had an experience of a lifetime. It was such a privilege to be with 27 men and 2 women, all but one served in World War II. We arrived on Friday morning at 4:30 in the morning at McCarran Airport to be greeted by wheelchairs, 25 wheelchairs, and t-shirts. And we were expeditiously taken through that airport to the plane. When we arrived at the gate, it was amazing. The USO had set up a table with breakfast for all of us. There was a color guard there standing at attention. The pilot actually came out and took the microphone and talked to all the passengers and said how honored he was to be able to fly this group of veterans to Baltimore, Maryland. He even cried, saying his dad was a World War II vet and that this meant so much to him. I was a basket case all weekend. It was amazing. We finally arrived in Baltimore, and when we did, we pushed 25 wheelchairs through that airport. I was not prepared for what happened. The people in the airport made way. They cleared the way for these men and women to be pushed through the airport. They applauded. People got out of the Starbucks line and came like a parade. People left their food and came, and it was so warm. It was so loving. It was so welcoming. And I think these guys were astounded. I know I was. So when we had the opportunity the next day to be able to go to the memorial, we arrived at the World War II memorial pretty early in the morning. We were greeted by people in uniform, and we were greeted by students who were there in their little t-shirts, and we were greeted by the public in such a warm and loving way. So many people stopped them and shook their hands and said, thank you for your service. I don't think any of them have ever experienced that. Had you, Dad? No. Okay, so here we are at this beautiful World War II memorial with fountains in the middle and a circle all the way around with a memorial place, a wreath actually for each state. We're walking and looking, and Dad spots a sign that says Pearl Harbor, where he spent 4 years in the service, and he was the secretary to a 4-star general, General Ruffner, during his service. So he's got great stories, so if you have a couple hours, you might want to ask him to tell you about it. Anyway, when we are standing there, out of the blue comes this young woman. And she says, are you Glenn Thompson? And Dad says, yes. Are you Glenda? Yeah. She said, my name is Allie, and I have a letter for you from my dad. You're not going to believe this. Her dad is Pastor Dan. Here we are, tourists in Washington, D.C., with a hand-delivered letter from Pastor Dan. How awesome is that? Well, just when I thought it was the best, it kept getting better and better. Next thing you know, this Review Journal reporter comes up and talks to Dad, hears his story, takes his picture, and he featured Dad in his article. Then we went to the other memorials. And the other memorials were just each one more meaningful, more touching, more beautiful than the other. And as as we got through all these memorials during the day, there would have been no way we could have done this without having a police escort. Our bus was escorted by a motorcycle cop, and this guy took his job really seriously. When people didn't move out of the way, he actually would drive his motorcycle up to their window, knock on their window, and go like that. And it was cute. The veterans said, "What's the rush?" Well, then we went to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, which was an amazing experience in itself, but we got front row seats, which was great, and two of the women from our group actually changed the wreath, and that was a very special opportunity to be able to view that. Then on Sunday, we flew home, and you would think that this was the, coming down, okay, we're going home now, but it wasn't. It was even better. There was a mail call on the airplane, and Dad got over 70 letters and emails and cards from friends and family. So touching. When we got back to McLaren, who would have been prepared for this? There were bagpipes, there was color guard, and they escorted us and paraded us through McCarran. And there were hundreds of people there to greet us, friends, family members, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. It was so touching. Well, all of this was just an amazing experience, and one of the gentlemen in our group said, "Wow, nobody ever applauded for me when I came home from the war." And that is exactly how it is. So many of our veterans have not been in wars that were popular. In a way, Dad was lucky to have been a World War II vet because the public was behind it. Our veterans put their lives on the line for us. So I'm just so grateful that Honor Flight has taken on this opportunity to be able to say thank you in a really beautiful, special, meaningful way. I'll never forget it. And can I end by asking you to join me one more time in a round of applause for all those who have served our country.